couple of days ago, my wife and I went to Barrett Jackson, and I recorded a bunch of stuff so that you can see what it's like to walk through the event and even ride along in a Toyota Supra as you get drifted around a racetrack. It was awesome. So here we are as we walk in. This is like the main gate. This is how you get in. You immediately go into a big presentation area that's like part Ford booth, part crazy industrial like apocalypse vehicles, and part Lexus. These people have paid the most money, and I think Ford typically does this, but of course I had to check out a Maverick right off the bat because this is my future truck. I'm getting one of these, and this one is even a Lariat. So I was showing my wife, hey, this is the interior of the truck. It's even a hybrid, like a Maverick hybrid Lariat. Is this even real life? Do these things exist? So I was showing her, hey, this is what my interior is going to look like. Here's the back seats. That's where the kids are going to kick us from behind, and just take a look at this thing because it's awesome. And then of course we had to take a quick peek at the Mustang Mach-E, and then look at these things. So what is this called? Rezvani Vengeance. This is luxury meets apocalypse, and we were out of there. And then this beautiful purple car that looked like, I don't know, a pretend color to me, but apparently you can get an RX 500H in this thing. And they put a bunch of F Sport stuff on there, but let's be honest, it's not that sporty. This RCF in the back, though, did look like a lot of fun. I know they weigh like 1,000 pounds more than they should, so I wasn't that interested. And here we get into things that maybe weigh 1,000 pounds total. So this was a whole booth right behind there for Apex Motor Club. They had driving sims. It was really cool. Tons of junk food everywhere. I was very tempted by the mini donuts. And then I spotted the Supras. Oh, hello, Supra. Maybe I can get in one of these things. I'm 6'5", so I'm pretty skeptical I'll be able to fit in this thing, and I've heard that it's not the best for tall drivers, but I had to give it a shot, and surprisingly fit fairly well. It, like, everything inside feels really nice. The fit and finish is good, and of course the wheel telescoping was a massive game changer, because if it couldn't, there's no shot. Don't even try. But you've got decent headroom in there. That side visibility is pretty low, so that's not great, but I mean, it feels really nice in there. It wasn't automatic, of course, because the manual ones are pretty hard to come by, and it's super dark, so you can't see much, but lots of really nice controls in there. Everything is super driver focused. It just feels narrow. I'm pretty shoehorned in there, and I had an NB Miata before. Here's a nice little Volkswagen with the roof rack, looking nice in the Volkswagen booth. They were like halfway down this main exhibition deal. I was surprised. Then check these things out. So these people take these Jeep trucks and they swap in Hellcat engines. I think that's like the business. That's the business model. And do crazy suspensions and lift kits and wheels and I'm sure body work and all kinds of stuff. But if you want like the biggest, baddest, craziest Jeep, that's your jam. And a Lucid. I actually just got to drive a Lucid like a week ago, and I'll be doing a little quick review video about that coming up soon. But surprisingly, that was pretty cool. Oh, and then my wife got taken back to the coffee shop. Some lady came and grabbed her and was like, hey, come back with me. We gave you the wrong coffee. I'm going, what is she, kidnapping her because she got the wrong coffee? Who cares? But anyway. Then we got into Giant Grillville here with BMW. Those grills were just so massive, it's ridiculous. And a little Dodge stand. Oh, and then I had to go back and see the actual specs of this thing. And it starts at $180,000 for that car. I don't know about that. I don't think it's really worthwhile. The funny thing about these Lucids is on video, they don't look that great, but in person, they actually look really nice. And I feel like maybe the opposite's true for the BMWs, that in pictures, they look pretty cool, but in person, I was like, those grills are really offensive. My wife was talking about how she did not like the finish of this paint, that it's like this sort of satin finish. It's not matte, but it's definitely not glossy and metallic and has that like clear coat that you love. And so I happen to be wearing this like bright yellowy green jacket, so I had to go check out this M3 that matches me. Don't love the way it looks, except that it matches my jacket, but the inside looked really nice. I mean, it looked stellar to me. And of course, I had to check out up close the new Corvette Z06. This is the first one I've seen in person, and it is really aggressive. It almost makes the normal C8 look a little naked because it doesn't have the wider body work and the extra aero and all the really aggressive stuff. And so I felt like a Z06 with that 3LZ package was like, this is really what the car was meant to look like from the get-go. And if you keep walking down through the exhibition hall, you eventually get down to where they're actually auctioning off cars. I'm not that interested in it, frankly. I mean, that's what the whole point of this thing. That's what Barrett Jackson is about. But especially on a day when we were there on a Tuesday, nothing like that crazy is going across the auction block. So most of the more interesting stuff was back here in this next room, this next like tent. So I was showing my wife this car, this SVJ, and it was this very like pinkish reddish color that she thought was like really pretty, and commenting on how pretty it is. And I was like, the kind of person who buys this car probably doesn't think it's pretty. It needs to be like very aggressive, masculine, you know, V12 madness, but whatever. This car was really cool. So this was a replica of like a race car. It was a normal car built to race car specs for Ken Miles, which if you don't know, he helped make the GT40 a thing. And then speaking of 40s, here's a Ferrari F40 that I think was imported from Canada, if I remember correctly, but it was basically at like race car spec level, which, I mean, F40s are kind of race car-y anyway, but that one was like really nuts. It was really cool. And this was my poster car, like as a young kid, this was the car on the wall for me, which is a Lamborghini Diablo. I heard these are actually terrible to own now. And then we came across this tiny house. We'd never been in a tiny house. I'm a big man. Let's go in and see if I can fit. And the funny thing is that, yeah, it's a tiny house, but that trailer was really tall. I mean, I'm 6'5", and the thing was well over double my height. So it's not like small. You're not going to haul this thing around. You're going to haul it to one place, and you're going to park it there, and you're going to leave it there. And then the funny thing, the first thing that happens when we go in there, get in, I'm like, wow, this is pretty nice. This is pretty big. This guy comes back and goes, there's only one bathroom. I'm like, where else would it be, dude? Like, I don't know what you were expecting here. Like a hot tub or a balcony or something. Like, I don't know. But there are these dual lofts. That was pretty cool. 3 potential sleeping areas if you wanted to put somebody else up there. A full kitchen. And then I had to just show you, like, this is not made for someone who's 6'5". I got a crooked neck in there. The door frame makes me even more crooked. The bathroom just straight doesn't work. The shower head is like touching my shoulder. It's a tiny house. I don't know what I expected. And then I was surprised. The thing is 140 grand. So this display model we're looking at, $140,000. I thought, you know, for 140 grand, I could probably build a real house. And granted, the point of maybe the tiny house is you get around some of those like rules and requirements where you don't have to have permits and stuff because it's an RV. But I don't know. To me, I'd rather have like a more solid, legit house that's the same size for 140 grand. And there's just everything here. I mean, if you've never been, there is just rows and rows of stuff you can buy, from eyewear to engines to detailing products to, I mean, cars, entire cars. Meguiar's had this giant trailer and like this premium spot to show off their kind of stuff. There's just endless things you can spend money on, but most of it's really expensive. I mean, maybe you're going to buy a bottle of cleaner, but by and large, like, people are there to buy a car or an engine or something that's pretty substantial. Multi-thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars. There's an old G-body car. I've heard that those are like really popular right now. I don't know. I've always thought they were like an interesting shape, but they don't seem that athletic to me. Some old Rolls Royce. This was like a very slow kind of off day. So these are pretty normal cars. I mean, there's nothing like that ridiculously special here, except I don't even know what this is. If you know what this is, tell me in a comment, because that just feels like the right size car to me. It's got Cosworth on the side, little tiny wheels. What are those, 14-inch wheels? I think that thing is so cool. And then I think it's a Porsche 928 that's not that interesting to me in comparison. Some very average, but good BMWs. I'm sorry, Mercedes. A very normal Tacoma. Like, it's kind of funny because my wife was like, what do you have to do to sell a car here? Like, is it some special thing? You have to have a special car? And I'm going, not really. You just decide to sell the car there. It's whatever. We talked to these guys for a while, actually. FC Forma cars, I think is how you pronounce that. That one was twin turbocharged, so I had to go look at that later. But they look like just normal kit cars, and to a degree they are, but this company's business is that they will build the car for you and like customize it however you want. And so the guy was kind of telling me their shtick, which is like, we'll build anything that you can think of. And a lot of times kit cars don't have very nice interiors, so they'll make them nice interiors, or they'll make you a full-blown race car with this thing. So this was, I think, what are these called? The Type 65 Coupe or something? So some wild engine build, twin turbo, full containment seat, sequential shifter, digital dash. Like, this is very hardcore. Cool suit. This is no joke, this car. And I had to go back and look at the wing. I'm going, I'll bet this is a chassis mounted wing, isn't it? It is a chassis mounted wing. Like, this thing is legit. I mean, it means business. And inboard mounted shocks, or shock reservoirs, not the shocks themselves. Like, that thing is really cool. And the sticker on the front really gave it away. It's like Oh, there's some turbos under here. Make no mistake, we have the Twirly Boys, and they're bright green. That little electronics box there is pretty interesting too. So he was telling me here that part of their value proposition, if you will, is they'll add more electronics to the car too. So that's an option for you if you want something a little bit more drivable. And this one that I'm in now apparently is a stretched chassis. So the white one behind me is really just a normal Factory 5 Cobra replica. The one that I'm in, and commenting on the windshield being right in my eye line, is one that they've intentionally lengthened just for tall people. Because that white one, I guess, he was like, if you're 5'8", it's great. But for anyone taller than that, it's like not good. And so he claimed that I could for sure fit in it, and I did. I mean, it was fine. The thing with these cars that always sketches me out, though, is that even the white one over there, it's got a single roll hoop, which is fine, but the seat stops at like your mid-back. I mean, like below my shoulder blade. There's just no more seat behind me, so maybe I should be a little bit more wild and think about like, someone on a motorcycle doesn't have a seat either. Now we got in line for the drifting. So this was actually pretty impressive to me. Like, obviously a Supra is a very capable car. They also had Dodge, Challenger, and Charger Hellcats out there drifting around, but it's just different to be there in person and to see them and to see how fast they're going, to see how sideways they are and think, have I ever intentionally gotten a car that sideways and like not crashed? I've gotten it sideways and crashed before, but I've never been like so controlled as these people. And you know, you can take it for granted, but you can also go, wow, they're actually running these cars all day long, sliding them around all day long, getting right back in line, picking somebody else up, going out and do it again. And it was just a fascinating like spectacle to watch. And interesting, if you look at the ground here, so it's all wet on the ground because on the very back side there, they actually will have the cars drive through water. And it's not to cool down the car, it's to cool down the tires. So right there where that car is in the very back, how he splashes through that water, it's just to give the tire a little bit more life, to cool it back off, because otherwise they would get so hot and gummy they'd just be like gone. And I'm sure they still go through a lot of tires because, let's be honest, you don't like not use tires by drifting. And then those C8 Corvettes back there, I think they're going to be doing Corvette drive-alongs too, like ride-alongs. And Ford had a booth there, so somebody might be able to get some Ford ride-alongs. I had to just zoom in and try and get how smooth these guys were too. Now, it's nothing about the car. I'm just going to try and judge the driver here. But the Dodge drivers were not as smooth as most of the Supra drivers. And this one guy in the white Supra, wow, he was just so smooth. His transitions were so nice. And there was even a female drift driver, which was awesome. I love to see it. Apparently my brother-in-law rode along with her the day before we were there. And she told him that she'd been drifting since 2008. So here the guy's asking me, hey, have you ever done this before? You ever driven on track? And I'm going, well, yeah, I've tracked cars myself. Like, I've driven them. He goes, have you ever drifted before? No. I've been in a ride-along at this show before, but I've never done it myself. And so here my wife is videoing me getting in the car, and you'll be able to see me come and drift around here a little bit. That's us right there. There we go. Does not look that fast on video, but it really is pretty darn fast. And he just whipped it into that corner and then was so smooth. Watch this interior footage. I'll show you the interior footage and I won't talk during it so you can actually see. But he was just so smooth and there's so much steering angle happening. Despite what it looks like here, it looks fairly tame, but it was pretty awesome inside the car. All right, here we go.
Modified Focus, Miata, and then rented some stuff. I'm big on the rental now. Yeah. I think renting's the way to go. Wow. Nice. Make it look easy.
It is easy.
Yeah. Is the water to cool off the tires and make them last a little longer?
Yeah, exactly.
That was great. It's always so different in the passenger seat.
Right. Yeah, like you probably thought I knew what I was doing. I'm over here terrified. Just hoping it all works out.
You guys get sick of doing the same course all day?
Not really.
No?
Like, you know, from tracking, it's every corner is unique.
Right.
Because you might be an inch different, or the car behaving, you know, this way.
Well, and
you need to
it's
adjust your inputs
changing a little bit throughout the day.
Yeah.
A little warmer, a little colder.
Yep. And then with the tire wear, things change. We have a lot of tire wear.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good one. You're right, sir.
That's great. Good to hear. I think it's pretzel time.
Then it was time to get a pretzel, and I ordered one with just salt. It was delicious. And then these things were really interesting. This was, in a former life, a side-by-side that then they turned into some kind of like weird track monster because it had all this aero. It looked like it had nitrous in the back. It may have had a real shifter. I don't know. That might be like a factory transmission that just had a nice looking shifter on it. But that was kind of odd. And then there were at least 6 of these tents full of cars. So 4 rows going all the way down. I mean, what is that, 50 cars? So you're talking about 200 cars per tent times 6 tents. There's at least 1,200 cars out there, and I'm assuming they're all being sold. I mean, I don't know about like a car show kind of situation here, even though there were guys just posted up there looking like car show guys, but just so many cars to see. I mean, you could spend days there probably. And then Shelby American had their own kind of post up there. They had some Mustangs and trucks and stuff that you could, I guess, buy from them if you really wanted to. And then right next to them was the Superformance booth. So if you're not familiar, Superformance is another kit car company, and they'll sell you these cars here that look like the old GT40 race car. That was a really big deal that Ford versus Ferrari is about. That's that movie. Then another twin turbo Type 65. I think these are, is that what that's called? Someone's going to just slash me in the comments because I don't know the name of it. But the same kind of car, twin turbo. And then I had to try and get this guy's crazy camera rig. They have these little mobile carts with these giant long arms and a camera on them because they're filming constantly. And so that was fascinating. And of course, as I start filming, he puts it away. And then this car is very expensive, but also very compelling. So it's a Cadillac CT5 V Blackwing. Someone left his water bottle in there. Thanks a lot, bud. And to me, this was like, man, this is like a doing everything car. I could put kids in the back. I could have broken plastics already, which is not a great sign. I could probably fit in this thing a lot better than a Supra. I mean, it seems pretty great, and people that have driven them say that they are really great. And so I was like, man, I got to get in this thing and see what it feels like. It felt roomy enough. I mean, the seat probably had an extra inch or 2 of space between the bolsters. So if you're a bigger guy, you can definitely fit in this a lot easier than a Supra, which is kind of self-evident. I mean, it's a big sedan, of course. But then it's got just so many like buttons and controls and things. That's like the Cadillac Manatino. And a V button to kind of have your pre-programmed presets and stuff in there. There's just a lot of buttons, a lot of screens, a lot of options. And I thought, you probably don't want to buy this car in like 15 or 20 years when this stuff is like breaking and the electronics are all going haywire and it's not working for you. But as a new car to buy or to lease or to drive for a few years, probably really, really great. It's like an American M5 Plus or something like that. In a comment, please put the price of this car in there. I'm guessing it's way out of the price range, but 650 horsepower, supercharged V8. I mean, it's a family Corvette, if you will. Then this is the Cadillac Lyriq. I mean, it just looks like it's trying really hard to be angular and interesting because it's an electric SUV. So it's an electric. It's got to look different. Make it electric. Make it look different. It's whatever. I mean, I don't think it's anything that exciting or anything to write home about, but these are. So these are the Radford Racing School, which is here locally in Arizona. I got to go and do this a few months ago where I took some buddies down and we all got to go drive these cars. That was a lot of fun. It was like $450 a pop, but really, really fun. And then these things were just so massive. I mean, an Earthroamer, I feel like it should be called an Earth Crusher. So I'm guessing they start with like an F550 and just make it that much bigger. It looked nice enough inside. I mean, it's an RV. Like, it's a big, lifted, very expensive RV. I'm also curious to know the price of these things. Someone should put that price in the comments. I'm guessing $300,000. And then we came back towards the front doors to see the new Mustangs. So at first I thought this was a dark horse because I think it's in the same color that they debuted it. But this is VIN 001. Stuff that collectors care about at Barrett Jackson, I guess. Like, you know, you can be the guy who has VIN number 1. I don't know. That to me is not that appealing. I want to drive the thing. I don't want to collect it. But then there is the dark horse. And you could tell right away that the wheel and tire setup look different. Like, I don't know if the wheel is smaller or just looked smaller, but serious tire, Trofeos, that is no joke. Manual, 500 horsepower, big aero. I mean, I feel like the world of a naturally aspirated manual V8 is extremely limited. And then right there, those feet that were on the side of the screen were actually Shmee. So Tim from Shmee 150 was there. Got to shake his hand. I just said, Tim, I love your videos. Hope you have a great time. And I left because I didn't want to be like that fanboy of people who are like super awkward and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, blah, blah, blah. You inspired me to make a car video channel and I want to like make videos the way you make videos and be this like cringy fanboy. Because I figured he's probably going to get attacked by people because he'll be here for a couple days doing Barrett Jackson things. And he's going to get enough of that. So I don't want to be that guy. But it was really cool to meet him. It was surreal. It's like meeting a celebrity or meeting somebody that you, I don't know, in some way don't think is like a real person. And then of course they are. He's a real person. But it was really cool to meet Tim. Doubt you'll ever see this, but hey, thanks for all the inspiration over the years. So those are the highlights from Barrett Jackson 2023. Lots of stuff to buy. That's the name of the game. I mean, it's consumerist like Mecca, but if you're a car guy, you got to go. I don't know why you would not want to go. And I wanted to show my wife at least once and go, this is kind of like where you would debut something really awesome. And then later on in the week, that's when the really big auctions are too, where the F40 will be sold, where that really cool race Mustang will be sold, where all the Aventadors and SLR McLarens and interesting old like Lamborghinis and things will all be sold. So I actually might end up watching some of the auction because it's just a really crazy, unique place where it's like, who are these people who are buying these cars? You know, what is their life like? I don't even understand that, but lots of stuff to choose from, lots of stuff to dream from too. I mean, are you the more brand new Mustang kind of person, brand new Maverick kind of person, or are you more about like buying an old classic? Let's say you got to pick a car and take it home. Do you want an Earthroamer? Do you want a dark horse Mustang? Do you want an old race car? Do you want a brand new kit car that's built to your performance specs and all the things that you like, but it looks really old, so it's got kind of the best of both worlds? Leave me a comment. Let me know. In the meantime, if you want to watch more, check out this video to see the configuration of my new Ford Maverick that I custom ordered from Ford. Who knows if I'll get it? Hopefully so. In the meantime, check that out to see what's worth ordering and not on a $30,000 Ford Maverick. All right, see ya.